Hello, my name's Chris. This is another new lesson on Learn British English Free, published on YouTube and Facebook. It's August 2023, or maybe still July, I'm not sure. This is a request from Julia. Thanks as always, Julia, for your support. I believe the original request was a while ago now about doing a C1 level lesson. I'm lacking inspiration, so apologies. I don't plan to do an actual C1 lesson because I couldn't really find one that's suitable to do via video like this. However, I did want to talk about C1, C2 lesson plans, and instead of deliver one right now, to point you towards resources where you can find lots of lesson plans and pick the ones which suit you. In previous lessons, I've done some things relating to, well, we did a lesson from the British Council, a reading one called Devils in the Details, a few weeks ago. And this is a good example. A great resource that I like is the British Council, for obvious reasons. But they've got a real lot of lesson plans available free online and complete lesson plans. More on that in a moment. Another thing is that last time we were talking about a suggested teaching methodology and looking at incorporating technology as much as anything. Building on that, I wanted to mention, of course, how lucky we are to have, in some ways, the internet at our disposal and all the lesson plans that are published for free distribution there. However, of course, you don't really want to take a full lesson plan and use that as is. You want to use it, maybe use bits of it and mix it up with more fun things for your students. Again, thinking about your specific class and the students in there, what's going to work for them. So I wanted to show you a couple of pages from the British Council, but not necessarily recommending using the complete lesson plans as they are, because that would be hard going for even the most enthusiastic students for a whole lesson. You might want to take some bits of it and mix it up with other stuff, which is more fun. I'm going to try and show you quickly on the internet. I've got a couple of web pages open from the British Council, and it's only as an example. The British Council materials are rather dry, but they do suit me quite well in terms of what I'm looking for. So let's try to share the screen now, and we're looking at a C1 level. You should be able to see the website. So if you type it into Google C1 lesson plans, you'll find a literally endless stream of ones. You can do spend a bit of time on it. You'll be able to find plenty. Of course, you should have, if you're teaching in a school, you should have textbooks at your disposal, which you can use as well. But to mix it up a bit or to find different topics, this is a good way to go. You can also try making them from scratch yourself, of course, but that's time consuming. The ones on the internet, you can find stuff which is a bit more unusual, a bit more unorthodox. Of course, you need to read it carefully because it might not actually be as good as you hope or appropriate. Do take care with that. This is C1 lesson plans on the British Council Adult Teaching English site. You can see quite a few here. And they're themed about topics of interest, a lot of them with a modern theme, which again links back to our most recent lesson about modern teaching methodology. Simply typing in British Council C1 lesson plans, you can get to that. Let's have a look at another page now. Yeah, Countryside is great. This is one I use quite a lot. I did some geography lessons actually at one point and used this for one of them. The British Council did a series of lesson plans using the term Great Britain. So Countryside is great, or sport is great, those sorts of things. But this is a good example. If we scroll down quickly, you can see it's really quite extensive and detailed, and to go through all of this in one lesson, I'm not sure that I really did it in such detail. You might want to use bits of it and mix it all. There are the answers. So that's cheating. Use bits of it and then mix it up with other more fun stuff towards the end, really, to take it easy on your students a bit. But you've got a whole hour and a half worth of material there. If that's what you want to do, then go for it. A simple internet search, you can find an endless amount of material like this. It's really worth looking at. We didn't talk about that much last time. Sorry, I forgot. But yeah, do use the internet and be careful. If you're going to do it, you need to take some time look in detail at the lesson plans that you're planning to use and make sure that they are good enough for you and your students, of course. This first page we were looking at is specifically adult lesson plans. Something I would say is, my experience is, focus more on the level of your students. One of my favorite memories from teaching in a school is that I had a teenage group. I think the eldest were around 14. But we were doing, once there would be class for adults, but it's more dependent on the level of the students and the maturity of these. They were mostly girls, were easily, C1, C2 level, and they could cope with it. They also had the maturity to look at topics like this, so-called adult maturity topics, whatever. I'm not really sure how you define what's for adults and what's for children. Like I said, my experience is that based on the English level and proficiency of the student and their maturity, that's the best way to decide what lessons to use. Don't discount children from doing, more advanced lessons purely based on their age necessarily. You could be missing out there. I think this is what I wanted to show you. I'll stop sharing there. So this is more of a focus on C1 lesson plans. Although I'm not delivering one specifically now, you can have a look at those bits, and I'm sure you'll have other internet sites on there to, mix it up a bit and take you away from the textbooks or other sort of books you have around. Take your time to have a good old Google, if you like, and find out other things that are out there. It'll take time in some ways because you need to be really careful that what you're doing is good enough and appropriate, but you can find lots of stuff that you otherwise wouldn't. So do please give it a go and write us a comment. Let us know if you have particular things that work for you. So instead of giving you one C1 level lesson or C2, I've provided you with resources to find as many as you like, really. Those British Council ones I'd recommend, although they are a bit dry, like I said. Oh, the other thing I forgot, sorry, is when we talk about C1, C2 level, you'll quickly get a gauge for just how good your students are. When I taught advanced classes, a lot of the time, the students' English was better than mine. No, not joking. In which case, you might even bring in authentic materials, as we call them, stuff straight from the news or from other things that hasn't even been designed specifically for English lessons, but give them a chance. I promise you, your students, if they're that good, they'll be able to cope with it and probably run rings around you, as we say. So yeah, do trust your students and stretch them, if you like. The internet's a great resource for that, not only in terms of lots of free lesson plans you wouldn't find in your books, but also other authentic materials that your students will gobble up, no problem, I'm sure. Good luck with it, and thanks as always to Julia and everyone else for your support. I hope you found this useful. Do please share with us, comment with your favourites, like advanced lessons. I look forward to reading them, and yeah, we can share them and maybe use each other's in the future, if you like. How about that? I'll finish here for now then. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any other ideas or suggestions, and I'll be back soon. Take care, everyone. Thank you very much.